You know, I look back on video games and I realized, huh, we really had it good back then. Minecraft is actually one of the most popular games in 2009. I spent hours on it as a kid, and to this day, well, I don't really spend much time on it now, but I still play it. But you want to know what else I love other than video games? Movies. I've watched a few video game movies in my day, like the Sonic Trilogy, Detective Pikachu, and even the Super Mario Bros. Movie. But I've also watched some pretty bad ones, like the Borderlands movie. And as of late, the one I've added to this list, the Minecraft movie. And after seeing all the trailers and news and stuff about it, it was actually pretty weird and interesting for me to just sit down and watch it. The movie started as an average teen drama of kids moving into their new lives, and, well, transitioned into a fantasy adventure that made absolutely no sense with horrendous CGI monsters. I mean, I'm not kidding. If you look at the way some of those things were designed, they would give even a xenomorph nightmares. Anyways, I'm going to be getting into my summary of the movie, so if you don't want any spoilers, you're probably better off watching another video. And I apologize for having no relevant footage of the movie, but let's be honest, it's just released, and I'm not willing to get a copyright strike to show you some of it. So the movie starts with the backstory of Jack Black, who wanted to work in a mine, but he was too young to do so. And as a result, he lived a mundane life with a boring job. But then, one day, the mines called to him again, and he went in. This time, he was old enough to do so, with nothing to stop him, and found this weird, cube thing called the Orb of Dominance. And with the Orb of Dominance, he also found this, weird crystal thing called the Earth Crystal. And with both of them combined, he opened a portal to the Overworld. And while he was in the Overworld, he befriended a wolf, which he named Dennis, and, well, he built a lot of houses and a big city. But then one day he finds the Nether and the army of piglins, led by, Piglin's Sorceress Lady. So Piglin's Sorceress Lady attempts to steal the orb from Jack Black, but his dog Dennis is quick enough to steal it and head to the real world with it. And if I've got to be honest, there's one thing I agree with Jack Black in that part. Hiding the orb under his bed is a very terrible idea. And then we switch over to the perspective of, Garbage Guy. Yeah, that's what I'll call him from now on. Anyways, the Garbage Guy finds out that there's an Atari console going for sale, and of course, he participates, wins the auction, but oh no! It turns out there was no Atari console in there. But of course, there was the magical bull orb, and the magical bullshit crystal just happens to be in there too. So, infuriated, Garbage Guy grabs both of them and drives home, but oh no, his car breaks down. And it's from there we switch to the perspective of Henry and socially awkward teenage girl. The socially awkward teenage girl and Henry are moving into a new town because, well, their mom died and they're trying to live a new life. And on the way there, they see Garbage Guy putting out the flames in his car with his jacket. Anyways, they move into their new home where someone gives them a lot of bags of potato chips. And for Henry's first day at school, a socially awkward teenage girl bakes a tater tot pizza for Henry to share with the other kids at school, while also being a breakfast food for himself. I don't think this scene was really necessary. However, the idea of a tater tot pizza is actually kind of interesting, to be honest. On the way to school, Henry meets the Garbage Guy. They have a lovely chat, and during Henry's first day at school, he pretty much destroys a mascot. Well, more of a sign of a mascot for the town they're in, but whatever. So Henry gets into trouble after the whole incident, and asks Garbage Guy to act as his uncle. And though Garbage Guy refuses at first, Henry says he has $26, and you can pretty much guess what happens next. So Henry and Garbage Guy go over to Garbage Guy's arcade, and Henry notices the orb, along with a note from Jack Black. The note tells them not to combine the orb with the crystal whatsoever. However, well, they do it anyways because the story needs it to happen. And they're also told not to follow the orb. However, they follow it anyways, which leads them over to the mine where Jack Black first discovered the overworld. And, well, socially awkward teenage girl along with a real estate woman catch up with both of them. However, Henry gets dragged into the portal along with the other three. Meanwhile, Piglin's Sorceress Lady tells Jack Black that the orb has come back, and that this time she wants him to find it. However, Jack Black is like, nah, I ain't helping you, and tries to kill her. However, his plan immediately fails, and he's forced to go to the overworld anyways. Suddenly, nighttime falls, and our four heroes are running away from a group of mobs. Anyways, they survive the night with Jack Black greeting them. However, the crystal that was meant to bring them back home is now broken, and they have to find a new one. Jack Black tells them that the new crystal they need to find is in the Woodland Mansion, which is pretty far from where they are right now, so he agrees to help them, and he takes them over to a village where they craft a whole bunch of new gear. The sorceress lady sends out the general guy to kill the four heroes and Jack. However, their plans are immediately thwarted in just a few battles. Socially awkward teenage girl and the real estate lady are separated from Henry and Jack Black, so they have to find a way to support them. The garbage guy, Jack Black, and Henry fly over to the mansion. However, as it so happens, they take a detour so the garbage guy can use the diamond himself so he can resurrect his arcade. Before that, however, Pickle general guy is killed by Pickle's sorceress lady's Pickle bioweapon, and then the Pickle bioweapon is sent out to kill the three of them. The Pickle bioweapon blows up the garbage guy, Jack Black, and Henry, and they find a way to escape. However, they run into a breeding ground on the rail, forcing the garbage guy to use a car to go to the next rail, and then up and instead. Henry tells garbage guy that he's selfish and not steal something, and then garbage guy admits that he's poor and he's a criminal. The arguments, however, come to an end as they find a mansion, and well, Jack Black is Jack Black the garbage guy creates a version on the first floor, while Henry goes to the third floor to steal the crystal. However, he's immediately spotted by the Vindicators, and well, it goes bad later. So Jack Black is now in a fighting ring while the garbage guy is actually fighting, and what he fights is, you guessed it, a Technoblade. I swear to God, my fear erupted during this part. Meanwhile, Henry searches chest after chest until he finds, yes, the crystal. But then he's spotted by an Enderman, and well, Henry doesn't even bother to defeat him. Not much later he dies, which hypnotizes him, and they end up well, while the Enderman is hypnotizing, he hears life, which actually kind of believe me, because I have those kind of thoughts sometimes. Not kidding, I actually love it when someone being famous. So Henry breaks free from the hypnosis, kills him, and gains the Enderman. But oh no, the Pickle sorceress lady has not died, and steals the orb from her. So the garbage guy leaves Henry and Jack Black off to gas away, and garbage guy stays behind to fight off the Pickle and kill himself. Keep that in mind. Jack Black and Henry are knocked out, and they're quickly reunited with the real estate lady and the socially awkward teenage girl. Wow, what a surprise that we all ended up being in the same place at the same time. But there's no time to relax because the apocalypse is approaching and they need a plan. So Jack Black and the gang craft some gear, train some wolves, craft iron golems, combining one golem with boost of swiftness, and they fight off the Piglet hordes. Anyways, just as they're about to succeed, the Piglet bioweapon shoots a beam up at the portal where Henry is, and Henry ends up falling, but who is he saved by? Garbage guy. Yep, remember how he sacrificed himself earlier? Well, turns out he's alive. So Henry has the gas shoot a few fireballs in the portal, picks up bioweapon, picks up the orb that fell from it, but the Swiftness Golem beats him to death. The Piglet sorceress lady burns in the sun, tries to kill Jack Black, but fails in the attempts to do so. So anyways, the four heroes go through the portal, with Jack Black reluctantly following them. They end up making new lives for themselves, and that's about it. Yay! They also set up a scene where Jack Black meets Alex, and they had a post-credit scene where a villager was getting married to the principal from the school, but I didn't talk about the love story because it's not really relevant to the plot. Anyways, the Minecraft movie was both a good and bad movie. It was hilariously funny in some parts, but the story was a big bone of contention for me. I mean, the first few minutes of it is like, what, a teen drama? And then all of a sudden it horrible CGI. I mean, Minecraft doesn't really have a story unless you're working to fighting the Ender Dragon at the end of the game, which in survival mode could probably take a ton of preparation and a lot of hours if you're not ready. I would have thought a story centered around fighting the Ender Dragon would actually be interesting for this one, because, well, I wanted to see how the Ender Dragon would look in this movie, but guess what? It's not even there! Instead we get a Piglin Sorceress Lady and the Piglin Bioweapon. Speaking of the Piglin Sorceress Lady, I didn't even understand her motivation. Why would she want to take over the world, well, the overworld, when there's a whole Earth outside of the overworld that she can conquer? Speaking of the Piglin Sorceress Lady, it's time I talk about the characters, starting with Henry. I actually thought the idea of Henry being a mega genius that worked a lot with rocket science was actually a pretty novel idea. I mean, even Sebastian Hansen self-performs pretty well. The same cannot be said, however, for Emma Myers. I mean, don't get me wrong, she does have a few good action scenes, but throughout the movie, she just tends to look confused and lost. I felt kind of the same way with the real estate lady, too. She just looked kind of lost and doesn't really know where she is, although the action scenes where using a shovel made me think of Shovel Knight. Not because I thought she was referencing the game, but more so I thought it was just like, using a shovel as a weapon. Where have I seen this before? I actually thought Jack Black's presence was a little questionable too. I mean, he's playing as Steve, one of the most iconic characters in Minecraft. However, I didn't really understand why. I guess he was there just to add some comedic humor to the whole movie. But if you're gonna have someone playing as Steve, he has to at least remotely look like the character. Lastly, Garbage Guy's whole heroic side, while secretly being a loser, was also kind of confusing to me. I mean, no doubt, Jason Momoa is a legendary actor, but in this movie, he just looks like he doesn't even want to be there. Probably because they made him play as a crappy loser instead of some cool action hero. But with the negatives out of the way, let's move on to the positives of the movie. It's kind of creative and a bit funny, I guess, along with a scene that I also felt was pretty honorable. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like slapstick humor, but in this movie, it's kind of spread out at times. I mean, Shrek was smart enough to just spread it out in short bits, and even the Super Mario Bros. Movie was too. But this movie has it literally everywhere, and while it's funny in some parts, it gets pretty predictable and unlaughable in most of it. And the creative part comes with, actually Henry's whole inventiveness. The swiftness column near the end of the movie, along with the item launcher we saw near the beginning, was actually pretty interesting to see. Maybe this is a new mob you should add in the game, Mojang, along with the new weapon you can use against enemies. And the honorable scene actually comes when Jack Black and the gang go to his village, and they see a pig with a crown. The pig with a crown is a symbol for Technoblade, and Jack Black calls him a king, because that was the skin that Technoblade used in most of his videos. Technoblade's death was definitely felt across the whole Minecraft community, especially Minecraft YouTube. And I thought it was a good way to honor him, along with the journey he made on YouTube. And I want you all to know that Technoblade never dies. Anyways, here's the moment you've all been waiting for. My rating of the movie. I didn't think the Minecraft movie was amazing, but it also wasn't entirely terrible either. IMDb gave it a 6.1 out of 10, which actually isn't too low for movies, but I might just give it a 7. The story clearly wasn't well constructed, and a lot of things were probably just jammed in there to plot forward. But Henry's inventiveness kind of made me forget about all the bad story stuff in the movie. If I gotta be honest, I think even Sebastian Hansen knew it. And if the reviews from Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb have told me anything, I might not be the only one that thinks this. Oh, and by the way, thank you for helping me reach 100 subscribers. It's been a pretty wild ride these past 4 years, and I never really thought I'd get to this point, but, well, I'm here now, and I have you guys to thank. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. Like, comment,